I expect you to tell me what could go wrong, rather than wait for my questions to come in which case you will get all defensive. So you tell me first, these 10 things could go wrong. And I expect you to say that. And I expect you to say that in the last 10 minutes of your presentation. After having said all the good things, let me tell you what all could go wrong. And I expect you to voice it all. Otherwise, I come to the conclusion that you lack objectivity and therefore cannot be trusted. Right? Financials, like I said, actually, there's no time left. The hour is up. So, please just pass on it. Itana, we have bought into you, we'll discuss financials some other day. But this itself is a great first meeting to have, without even opening financials. Why you'd be surprised how many people first come and tell us we'll become a $200 million company with 40% gross margin and so on and so forth. And that's how they start a presentation. We'll come to all that later. Yeah? So this is just general gyan. But do come with an executive summary and a full detailed business plan. Come with both. When you come in to meet a VC. Better still, mail a 2-page executive summary. And come with a business plan. Remember, you only have 1 hour. So now I'll invite Ramesh to take you through what is Artiman all about. And that will explain some of the biases that you have seen in our market. Each VC firm is different, and Artiman is different in its own way. And Ramesh will tell you what that is. And Ramesh will also take you through some of the companies that we have to show you what we meant and why we picked those companies. Thank you.
Thank you.
We all know it, but we didn't know the way to do this. Ramesh Radhakrishnan, he is an entrepreneur all through. He's been on a journey of starting up companies and selling it when it was big and selling to the bigger ones like Qualcomm and Cisco's. He's been into the communication, wireless, those technologies. I think when we went to the US, maybe this was on the just on the horizon, and he tackled those areas and he worked very hard in those areas and been very, very successful. Product of IIT Chennai, and I think the numbers we can discuss the companies, but great experience. Now, I think coming back to India, into Artiman and wanting to fund entrepreneurs' career is his passion. So let's listen to him and the stories he wants to tell us about various entrepreneurs that he's interacted with. And then we'll come to the future.
Thank you. I did my engineering and then went to the US. I was lucky enough to be in the Silicon Valley for so many years. In fact, saw the rise of so many different companies and technologies. Now I'm back in Bangalore with Artiman. From an entrepreneur, I've gone on to the venture capital side. So I have some learnings on both sides now. Let me talk to you about what Artiman is about. And as Arvind talked to you right at the beginning, every venture capital firm is slightly different. VCs can't be clubbed into one big bucket, just like banks can't be clubbed into one big bucket. Some banks are very good at making farm loans. Some banks are good at making industrial loans. Some banks are good at raising money for IPOs and stuff. So you have very different kinds of banks, and VCs are no different. Some VCs are very good in the early stage. They mentor the entrepreneurs, they get the entrepreneurs out, they give early seed stage funding, which is where a lot of the risk is. You're taking a risk on the team, you're taking a risk on the technology, you're taking a risk on the market. But as the value is built up in those companies, there are other VCs who feel more comfortable putting a larger amount of money at a later stage in the company. and they might come at the growth stage. And typically a growth stage is when the technology risk has been taken out, and now it is exploding into the market. Like for example, when I'm just going to give you as an illustration, not exactly how it happened, but let's say somebody wanted to create, Reliance wanted to create a telecom network in India, right? They had to choose between 3 or 4 different technologies. Is it CDMA, is it GSM, is it Wi-Fi or WiMAX or something like that. They pick something, but you have to make sure it works and it works at scale. So there would be a VC right in the beginning to say, did that technology work or not? Then once it works in a couple of cities, how do you expand it to 100 cities and 100,000 towers? That's when you need hundreds of millions of dollars to expand it. So you might get some of the VC at that point of time. So the first step was to take out the technology risk. The second step was to take out the market risk. Once you've proved it, then you go out and scale, right? So what Artiman does is we are more concept stage, which means we work at very early stages of the formation of the company. We work with the entrepreneurs. Typically, we have entrepreneurs in-house, and both in Palo Alto as well as in Bangalore. We have a stream of entrepreneurs coming in and going, so we are brainstorming with the entrepreneurs all the time. We have some business opportunities that we know, but the entrepreneurs themselves may have other opportunities. So we help hone those ideas into a workable business proposition. There are lots of entrepreneurs also who have their own ideas, who identify the business opportunities, and we also work with them over a period of time, maybe about 4 or 5 months, to really find out. I will talk to you about all the 6, 7 different things that we talked about in the evaluation process. During that process, we are also making our initial cuts at what are the risk factors, how does it really work, how does it not work, what happens if this happens, and we work with the entrepreneurs during the process. So once we're interested, we work with the entrepreneur to make sure we identify what exactly the company is going to be. And so we are early stage. And what does early stage mean? We are like the entrepreneur really to put his sweat, blood and tears and whatnot to get the idea out, the customer validation out, maybe some prototyping done, and to identify what the business opportunity is. Then we would come in and fund the entrepreneur once we identify the business opportunity that we can really exploit. Then there will be many, many different rounds of funding. This is not the only round of funding. And we may get other venture capitalists in to develop it, right? So I can give you some examples of some of the companies that we have done right from initial stages. One is a TV company, and Arvind mentioned that a few moments ago. Why did we invest in a TV company? And what was the problem that we were trying to solve? The fundamental problem that we were trying to solve was there was no, if you look at where the TV companies are going, from the 60s, the US owned all the patents for the TV company. But after it's all gone to Japan and Korea, and their market monopoly. But the market is huge. Every home has got 4 TVs. So what will take the market to go to a new TV, right? And why isn't there a new TV technology? We actually tried to solve the problem from what is happening in the TV market. And we found out that the entire market is going to the LCD, LED, and plasma TVs. Why? Because there's only one fab in the world, 2 fabs in the world. One is owned by Toshiba, the other one is owned by a Chinese company, where the glass panels are made. So it doesn't matter which TV you own today. The glass comes from only these fabs. It doesn't matter if it's Panasonic, Sony, Toshiba, Samsung, which is the most expensive part of the TV, comes from these 2 fabs. And those fabs cost $8 billion to build. So nobody in the world is going to put that amount of money to build a fab. Because those fabs are built, that's the only place that you get the TVs from, and that's the only technology that you get. What we found was 2 things. One is that the fab is very expensive. So the problem that we wanted to solve was, can we make a TV fab which is an order of magnitude less? Why couldn't we make a fab? It's like the example, the analogy I would throw out is the Volkswagen Beetle. While GM and everybody else was making cars only in Detroit and exporting it, what did Beetle do? Beetle made a car which could be manufactured anywhere in the world. In fact, there are plants in China, there are plants in Brazil, they would have had plants in India if we had opened up the market. But what they did was to make manufacturing possible in any part of the world. And it's a small investment, and you could roll out as many of those standardized cars as you want. So that's where we started. We wanted to build a TV plant for $20 million. What we came back after about 2 years of work with entrepreneurs and stuff was a brand new TV. And the TV was based on something called laser phosphor display. So not only did it have better quality than any of the TVs today, it had the lowest power consumption as well. And you can now build it in any shape and size. And check this out, the manufacturing cost of building a plant for making a TV is $20 million. From $8 billion to $20 million, and you can put it anywhere in the world. See, that's the kind of, when you're talking about innovation, that's the kind of innovation that we want to see. We are changing the marketplace. Now here, there is a market risk. You're going in and telling somebody, watch this TV. It's obviously got to be better than, they're not going to buy the TV just because your manufacturing cost is low. They're going to buy the TV because the quality is good as well. And it was lucky that we were able to get all of that together as well. So that's an example of working from a concept stage to developing a product for a big market. I'll go to some of the other things and come back to some examples of some of the companies that we have as I go along. We have about, actually, this was an old slide, so about $750 to $800 million under investment right now in many of our companies. We have 25 companies that are getting a VC as well. 1 out of 10 companies succeed. 9 companies fail. There's not 2 of us, it's 2 of the entire VC industry. It's not because the VCs do a bad job, or the entrepreneurs do a bad job, or the market. That's the reality. Because you have so many ideas, and you have so many people coming in, everybody's working. You should constantly focus on this. Are you doing a feature? Are you doing a one-time product? Are you creating a company? A feature which gives you 10% of improvement and 10% improvement, you'll get killed. And that's where 9 out of 10 companies fail. When I say companies fail, you have all these complicated thoughts and you have this business opportunity and you do a product, at the end of the day, it's a feature. Microsoft and IBM will come right behind you, they'll wait for you to create the market and then eat you off. Right? So you have to be constantly on the vigil of what you're doing is at a feature and does it have legs. Now, from a feature you can go to a product, but are you a single swallow in the summer? Are you a comet that goes by and that's it? What do you do after 2 years from now? Or are you creating a platform where you can go to multiple devices? For example, in this InventSense company that we're talking about, we were originally thinking, okay, this can be useful. In fact, I even tell you this. When the CEO first described where it can be used, it was so silly, we all started laughing. And what is the use? We never knew about Wii and all this. It was all in Nintendo inside those companies, right? He was saying that, okay, if you have a smartphone and you dropped it, because everybody was dropping phones in those days, the lid was getting scratched, the screen was getting broken. This would detect it and quickly put the cover on the screen before it fell down. There, you're laughing at it. That's exactly what was the reaction. We were laughing at it. So, is this the application? Then, as it progressed, this platform came out, right? This is a platform. And when you create a platform, it is not only critical in every smartphone and digital camera, it's also in all of your consumer devices at home. And today the world cannot live without motion sensing and processing whatever device you have. So that's a platform that you create. We have 3 funds that we have raised. The last one is about $200 million. We have, like I said, about 25 to 28 investments. We have sourced 4 companies so far from India. But 90% of our companies which we source in the US have a big footprint in India as well. So our job is to do a bunch of things. We try to find the companies here. We also mine the companies which have got a footprint over here, and then there's a day-to-day grind of those companies as well. Of course, India is also becoming a big market for those companies. So we are establishing a brand and continuing to look for the same thesis over here in India for product companies which are addressing big markets. The big market can be in India, but if you do something for India, it's typically for all the emerging markets. It can also be global. I talked to you about white spaces. Let me talk to you about bioimaging just a little bit. Excuse me. The problem that bioimaging was trying to solve was one of, even today, for a nation like the US, which has got the most advanced technology and the advanced processes everywhere. How does, you go to the hospitals to do a lot of tests. When you do your blood test, and they give you a result saying that you are, I don't know, your cholesterol count is 120. How do you think they do it? Do they have sophisticated machines which is measuring those globules and stuff like that? You'd be surprised. The answer is no. What they do is they send it to a central lab. The central lab guy looks into a microscope. He's got this little slide over there with your sample on it. And there are lots of red blobs on it. He looks into it and then looks up at a wall of photographs and says, which photograph is it closest to? And he does that 10 times. And then goes and asks another technician, say, I think it's close to this, you tell me what it is close to. And then they come up with an average and then say, okay, I think it's about 140. The cholesterol is 140. That's exactly how they do it today. And they've been doing it for, I don't know, donkey's years, 30 years or 40 years. And they're fine with it. And you believe it, and you get treatment based on that. But the entrepreneur who was working on this, he's from Pune actually. It turned out that he was in the US for some time. And just ran into this problem and said, this problem has been solved. And how do you solve this problem? In computers and computer imaging, this problem has been solved already. So what do? You just take a high resolution photograph of that sample and use computer imaging techniques to count those red blobs. So I can tell you exactly there are 143 red blobs in that. Right? And that was the product, bioimaging. It solved a real problem of digitizing pathology. And now you have a platform, it can be used for any disease. You change red blobs to blue blobs, you can do diagnosis of some of the disease, right? Now with all of these products, well, they're market, they change the market, you will find there are market insertion issues, but we'll talk about that in another lecture. But that's bioimaging. Anybody in the chip business here at all? Anybody's made chips? Over here?
I worked for Texas Instruments, so.
Texas Instruments.
Yeah. But I'm not in that business any longer.
But as long as you understand how chips are made and what they, how many of you are computer science over here? Any other interesting companies we can talk about?
I think Orin is a good idea.
Orin, okay, let me talk about Orin. So the founder of Orin comes to us from Disney. And he actually made movies. He was an entire technical director behind the movies. Have you heard? Who has heard of Toy Story? Who has heard of Shrek and Lion King? You guys all love the movies?
Yeah.
He comes from that background. He made those movies. You should know his name, Umesh Shukla, by the way. And he's from Pune. He went to Disney. He's one of the 5 people in the world who know how to make an animation movie end to end. Right? So after all of this experience and stuff, I said I want to be an entrepreneur. And this is a technology that I want to work on. And what is the technology? So here's the problem. All these movies which are made, Toy Story and Shrek, and so next time you go to your home today and put those DVDs in and see those movies, you'll find one similarity between all of them.
while they all look 3D and stuff like that, the look and feel of every character in the movie, as well as the background, is very plastic. There's a blue which can only be that shade of blue. You can't change it anywhere else. So let's say there's snow falling. The snow will be precisely triangular, but the snow precisely that. It's powdery and all that kind of stuff, right? You can't get that with the technology that is there in the movie industry today. So we develop a technology with him where you can get any look and feel. So you make an animation movie and you say that I want to get this look and feel, which is some painting on the wall, for example. Anybody familiar with Van Gogh's painting? What the difference is? Or Monet? Or
if I may give you how he pitched to us. So he said, I assume all of you use MS Word. So तुम कुछ टाइप करो, कुछ भी टाइप करो. The great thing MS Word did for us, I mean most of you are too young, but what did for me was suddenly I could go up and change the font. And it's all the new font. So it was to me the biggest technology thing which ever happened in my life when I first saw MS Word. This guy's dream is कि तुम कुछ draw करो. ऊपर जैसे font है, go up, change the style. Change it to the style of Picasso.